Hi, I'm Katie Smithson, Director of Enterprise Sales at Lone Wolf Technologies and your 2021 RESO Board Secretary. Today, we are talking about expanding international data efforts. International interest in real estate standards and RESO continues to grow across North America and Europe. And today I am joined by two people whose organizations are helping to expand RESO's data efforts. So please welcome Shayne Fairley, COO of Stellar MLS and RESO board member, and Patrick Pichette, Vice President of REALTOR.ca. So thank you both for joining me today. Let's dive right in. So awesome. So technology doesn't see borders, but language and culture add some different flavors. We all have common needs, and Data Dictionary really provides the foundation for these different communities. So let's talk about how each of your companies are handling that. So Patrick, I'll kick it off with you.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Katie. That's a great place to start. From our perspective, having a standard way to structure data is very important for the industry. We've been working very closely with the various real estate boards across Canada, probably since the early 2000s, on a national data standard, which is essentially the Canadian version of the RESO data dictionary. And from the get-go, that data standard has been fully bilingual in French and in English. So in Canada, French is an official language, so it was quite important for us to do that from the very beginning. So, on the flip side, though, we are proud members of RESO. So what we've done over the last few years is map our data standards to the RESO data dictionary on the English side. And now I'm happy to report that we're in the process of translating the data dictionary into French.
That's awesome. Very cool. How about you, Shayne? I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit more later on, but I know Stellar MLS within the last 3 years kind of expanded to Puerto Rico. So obviously you've got some bilingual opportunities there. So talk a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Katie. And so over the last couple of years, we have expanded with a couple of new shareholders, but I just wanted to bring it back and first say that, we've always strived to offer best in class products and technology. And so over the last few years, as new technology has come on, and we've been able to onboard these vendors now that we're on the data dictionary, the speed with which we're able to bring these things to market has really, really been shortened. And so that's one of the things that I just wanted to say. That's one of the big plugs for the data dictionary. So I wanted to get that in there. But then also, we want to help drive these standards. So we were very early adopters. We actually transformed our database at the native layer back in the end of 2017. And so that's really afforded us some new opportunities so that when we go out and we talk to different associations, you had mentioned Puerto Rico a few years ago, when we had another association that was not on the data dictionary, it took a lot longer than one of the ones that we did more recently where they were on the data dictionary. And so the only fields that we had to really go in and map were those custom fields. So that, of course, we were able to bring those new customers on board sooner so that they were able to use the system quicker. And of course, that made things a lot easier for the rollout. And of course, those new customers were able to use the system earlier. So of course, that's going to help their satisfaction as we bring on those new customers. Now, you mentioned Puerto Rico. And so, now that we do have the Spanish translations in there, that's also opened up other doors for, future enhancements and partnerships that we have. One of the enhancements was to our MLS database and our MLS system. And so now we actually have a toggle in our system to where you can actually change the system to where it reads, and you can use the system in either English or in Spanish. And that's really, really key for us because, since we're in Florida, we have a lot of Spanish speaking individuals. And so we have a lot of our customers who speak Spanish, but then also some of their clients that may not even speak English. And so that's also afforded us the opportunity for them to send their customers either reports that are in Spanish, and then also to set up their client list. So if they have some clients that are in English, they prefer English, but then others prefer Spanish, they can go in and they can kind of set up their client portals that way, and they can deliver that information to their clients the way that they want to receive it. And so, again, that's really, really been a key for our customer satisfaction levels.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it sounds like it's not just about what's happening local with your agents, the realtors. It's also about providing that great experience for the consumer. So appreciate the great plug for Data Dictionary there. So speaking of different languages and translating everything, and how that comes into play with the Data Dictionary, how does that work for native speakers of, say, French or Spanish? I guess, Shayne, I'll kick it off with you, and then we'll come back to Patrick and just talk a little bit more about how that all works.
Sure. So for us, when we decided that we were going to move forward with Spanish, one of the first things that we needed to figure out was what form of Spanish, right? Because there's different dialects, and different forms of Spanish. So we needed to decide, are we going to go with the Castilian Spanish? So is that more, the Spanish that they speak actually from Spain? Or was it going to be more of a Latin American Spanish? And so ultimately, we decided to partner with the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And so we outsourced our translations to them. And so they were able to come in and give us some real world translations that we were able to update, the enumerations, the pick list, and all the drop down menus and things like that. One of the things that we were not able to do, though, is when it comes to the remarks fields, right? And so whenever you enter in a full entire sentence, we made a conscious effort not to put in any kind of auto translator because you can, those are good, if you need something quick. However, due to the sensitivity of the information that was being entered, we did not want to move forward with any kind of auto translation service or anything like that. And so what we decided to do is we decided to add in an additional remarks field for each one of our remarks. So we have 2 public remarks fields or marketing remarks, and we also have 2 realtor-only remarks fields. One is in English, and then one is you have the ability to enter the same information in Spanish. And so, again, that was something that we decided to do just to make sure that those, the phrases that they wanted to enter in English, they can then go in and translate that into Spanish, and it's going to be accurate. That was something that we initially got a little bit of pushback on because, of course, the agents want something that's simple to use.
Right.
So they want that.
The less work they have to do, the better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that was something that we kind of, stayed firm on. And we think that was the right decision because as you go and you feed this information downstream, it's important that those remarks are accurate.
Absolutely. And Patrick, I know you have some thoughts on those auto translators, so I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, thanks. Just to build on what Shayne was saying, it is a lot of work. There's no shortcuts. We're starting with French Canadian, but if the day comes where you're looking at France, Belgium, other markets, it'll need to be a whole other exercise. But on the issue of the auto translation tools, what I would say is do not use Google Translate. For somebody who's fluent in another language, it can actually be quite insulting. Like we can totally tell when Google Translate is being used. And like Shayne said, those tools are good for a quick and dirty translation. But what happens is that these tools, won't have the full context. And I'll give you a specific example. So take single family, which is a very common value in a property type lookup. single family in French is unifamilial. Now, if you were to take single family and put that into Google Translate, you would get famille monoparentale, which means single parent family. So, if you're not mapping your fields to a standard, or you don't have somebody who understands the context that is going to validate the translation, then you're just going to end up getting a lot of garbage on your website. So if you really want to provide a great experience in another language, there's no way around it. You have to make the investment. You have to do the work. This is not an area where you need to be looking for shortcuts.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I love that. It's really not the time to try and make things easy, because you want it to be accurate. And
Exactly.
again, it all goes back to really improving not just the experience for the agent, but also for the consumers out there. So I guess speaking of websites, this really goes beyond just, one MLS or one website. Talk a little bit about the data relationships that need the bilingual values. And Patrick, I'll let you kind of kick that off first.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is a really important topic for us. Take REALTOR.ca, for example. It's the consumer portal that we, the Canadian Real Estate Association, owns and operates on behalf of realtors across the country. And it displays the listings from all the MLS systems across the country. REALTOR.ca is a completely bilingual website. You can land on any page and you can toggle back and forth between French and English. On top of that, we operate a data syndication service called DDF, which allows realtors to publish their listings in a standard way to various other websites. So, on top of that, Quebec is our second biggest province in terms of population and membership as well. New Brunswick is officially bilingual province. There's different pockets of the country where business is conducted in French. So there is a need in certain MLS systems to have a French interface, to have fields and lookups that are available in French. And on the consumer side, it's not just Realtor.ca. There's other sites. There's brokerage websites as well that operate in French. So all this to say, if we're going to be serious about data standards in Canada, French cannot be an afterthought.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I personally, now with Lone Wolf and my history with W&R Studios and working with expanding coverage into Canada, you really have to be aware and take into consideration these things. So, Shayne, obviously it's a little bit of a different scenario for you because you are in Florida and you're working with different MLSs. So I guess, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, where using data dictionary standards helps you to bring on new customers. But again, it just kind of ties into this data relationship and having that bilingual value. So talk a little bit about how Stellar MLS is handling that.
Yeah, so I wish that there were as many services in Canada as in Canada that you have French and English. It's definitely not that way in Florida. And so, everything in Florida, for the most part, all the services that are offered are in English. And it's probably that way around most of the U.S. But being from Florida, we have many, many customers, I said this earlier, who speak Spanish. So we were receiving requests to offer different services in Spanish, to provide training in Spanish, not only the MLS system, but then also those ancillary services to offer those in Spanish as well. And so, we've always had those. But then when we brought on the Puerto Rico Association of Realtors back in 2018, we also had a large uptick from their customer base that, English is our second language. And so, we really do need those services in Spanish. And so with the availability of the data being fed from the source, from the MLS, being available in Spanish, what we're hoping is that those that are, able to receive the information downstream. Some vendors will start to be able to offer some services in Spanish, and that hopefully they'll be able to use our data maybe as even a starting point to be able to build those things out. It's going to be important that we continue to try to look at, not only Spanish, but then other languages as well in Florida, but Spanish was the one, predominant in Florida. So that was the one that we decided to go with first.
Yeah. I just had a random thought, but we've had inquiries about, in the Chicago area, there's a very large Polish speaking community. So there's like a need for Polish translation. So it's very fascinating as you go into different pockets of the country, how that can change from place to place. So I guess, just to follow up on what you were saying, Shayne, we've got the data dictionary, to structure the data in local language. What about moving that between organizations?
Right. So again, this is where the data dictionary and the web API really come into play. I don't believe Patrick is in this situation, and I'm happy to say that we do not have any FTP feeds. That was one of the things that we were able to come in about 11 years ago. We were able to shut down our last FTP feed so that we were only offering RETs. And so, like I said, we were one of the first in the industry to go in and make sure that we had a data dictionary back in. That was in 2017. And I'm also happy to report that as of last Friday, we are 1.7 certified, and that's through the Bridge web API. So we have data dictionary at the native layer. We use Bridge web API. And then a few years ago, we partnered with the MLS Grid. And so we use MLS Grid right now to provide all of our IDX and VAL services. And so we're also planning on trying to move away from RETs and only offer the web API at the beginning of next year. So that's how we are hoping to, help drive the industry forward with this. And because it's important that you have these systems in place so that when the data is there, it's able to move around and get to the places that it needs easily.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Patrick, I know it's a little bit of a different situation for you, but I'll let you speak to it. I think you are still dealing with some FTP feeds, right?
Yes, we are. So we're in terms of how we work with the 80 plus MLS systems across the country. We do still have a mixed bag of approaches. So yeah, in some cases, we're still using FTP to receive and upload. In some cases, we're using a RETS feed to pull in images and other data points. And it's challenging to have to work with different standards, different processes. And this is Canada, right? We're just a tenth of the US. So, but it's something that we're working through. It's a strategic priority for us to move to a RESO web API. We are currently actively seeking a partner, an MLS partner in Canada to take that leap with us. And we're confident that we're going to be able to find some dance partners this year. We know that there's several real estate boards. And by the way, in Canada, typically the real estate board owns and operates a local MLS system. I know in the US, it tends to be two separate organizations. But so when I say real estate board, I also mean the MLS organization. So I know there's several of them that are doing the groundwork. Have started their journey, and it just takes the first one to take the leap, and it's going to have a ripple effect. But it is a priority for us. There's so many benefits to standardization, not just to move data within our industry, but also to connect it to systems outside of the industry. So. Having the entire country on RESO web API will be a great day. And we still have a lot of work to do, but, as part of that shift, just to come back to the topic of this panel, as part of that shift, we need to make sure that everything will be available in French. So we have a lot of work to do, but, we feel that, the RESO organization is definitely the place for us to do that from an international perspective.
Well, that is awesome. This has been a really great conversation. Yeah, I mean, to Patrick's point, there's still work to be done, but we appreciate guys like you taking the lead and really driving the change in the community. We look forward to seeing what is yet to come. So thank you all so much.
Yeah,
for your
and Katie,
time
I just want to throw
today.
this out there. I just want to throw this out there really quickly that if there's anybody that's watching and they're thinking about taking on this behemoth right here, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to share our experiences, any of our project plans or our marketing tactics, anything like that. So Patrick already knows that. We already offered that
Expect
to him.
a call soon.
I also just wanted to offer that to anyone else too.
That's awesome. Well, that's what RESO is all about, connecting and using those resources. So thank you so much. It was great chatting with you guys.
It's great being here. Thank you.